Hello, and welcome to another video. In this video, we'll cover Vengeance and Vigilance. In the top left, you'll see the set bonuses that I run: 10% damage for melee after using Rage Spender, and then a 20% critical hit chance after popping Enrage. You totally can use something like Stimulated or Second Wind. More so Second Wind I would recommend. Though Stimulated wouldn't be bad. Instead of the 10% melee damage, as if you're in a situation where you can slam a lot and you're more so doing slam damage rather than actually doing like a single target rotation or single target abilities like Hue, Impel, stuff like that. Because slam does not receive bonus from this 10% increased damage. It's only your technically your like melee damage, I guess you could say. Though it's a little bit more complicated, even though slam is technically melee. It doesn't qualify for the bonus. So just keep that in mind if you're able to slam a lot, or if you're going for those 1vx's, like trying to clear a node or something by yourself. Second Wind will really help that. It's really fun. And going into our stats, we run the basic setup that I usually do on most of my characters. We're running 4 Alacrity, 1 Alacrity AUG. This is personal preference to smooth out the GST. A lot of specs are like this. Vengeance is just another one that's like that, because sometimes you get caught up on the eventual slam animation and sometimes the impel animation. So this helps prevent that. You can just go for Alacrity pieces and forget the AUG. It's totally up to you. I run 2 accuracy, so my single target damage and my impel / Hue have more chances to hit. You could forgo accuracy if you wanted to, but I think landing Hue and impel, especially Ravage, ups your damage quite a bit, especially when you hit a single target. And then pretty much everything else goes to critical. Now, if you were to run no accuracy, I would probably recommend putting it into critical, therefore your dots can crit more, which means more slam. Now going into our talents, the ones I have marked white, I basically cannot find a use for, and I would never recommend taking. However, pretty much everything else, there is a use for most of these talents, and you can totally use them. These are the ones that I use, these are the ones that I also recommend. The 50% crit for dots is really good, but so is the healing one. It really depends on the matchup. If you have support and heals, you probably want to go the crit one, because it'll allow you to slam spam and clear teams. However, if there's a lot of range and there's a lot of roots and whatnot, you may want the healing one for 1 heals and then 2 as a root breaker. And it also helps a little bit with mobility. It's really pretty good. It really comes down to, do you need the mobility or do you need just extra damage? And most definitely, if you're struggling to survive or if there's just a lot of damage, the healing is just unmatched. So both of them are equally powerful in my opinion. You can definitely go either one. Just try to judge the match before you get in, and or judge off the previous matches. Then going to our tactical, we pretty much only use cut to pieces. You could use the hemophilic slash. However, I don't like it at all, because cut to pieces is just way too strong. I feel like not embracing the slam spam is just an L. I hate to say that, but it is most definitely a thing. You can clear entire teams with cut to pieces. You should just really take advantage of it, because I have a feeling it probably won't last for too much longer if it ends up being, any stronger than what it already is. It's already really strong. So if developers ever come to their senses, this tactical will probably get nuked. And going into our rotation here, we have 2 different examples. One is for single target. So if you were doing single target on the left-hand side, this is what you would do. You would usually at maximum use 1 slash, by the way. This is only because you'll have a little buffer that you have to wait for your next ability. That'd be the only reason you ever use slash. You totally don't have to. But basically what you're doing here is that impels one of your dots, screams one of your dots, and shatters one of your dots. That's why it's on the top. So these are the 3 dots that you spread. The longest dot that you have and the strongest dot you have is shatter. So that's the one that you want to prioritize spreading. So if you're afraid people are going to spread out, shatter then slam so you can spread the most impactful dot. And then I recommend going into scream. You can pre-build stacks for scream by hitting slam before going into combat. But you would hit scream, it applies 50% AoE slow, which will help you ensure getting your next slam. And then impel, as it's your single target and shortest lasting dot. It's also the highest damaging move that you'll have next to hew. Now, if you were having an optimal situation and you're running the 50% critical, the rotation on the right is the AoE version, so you would leave get Sunder so you can have Rage, go into Shatter, Impel, Scream, then they would be slowed, they have all the dots in there, you can start Slam, and then you could use the other abilities if you had to single target. However, those other abilities wouldn't be necessary because you could probably, right as you hit Slam, hit Berserk, or not Berserk, Enrage, my bad. I put Berserk in the same place that I have Enrage, and I just usually consider them very much the same thing because they are very similar. But basically you would probably, as Scream, probably want to hit Enrage or on Slam. And then you start getting CDR, maybe just throw a hew, and then your Slam's probably back, and you just keep slamming, slamming, slamming. Try to make use of as many slams as you can. One thing to think about is after about 5 slams, you might want to reapply a dot because most of your dots are about to fall off and you're going to lose your slam spam. So you need to try to reapply shatter and then slam and then use another dot and slam and another dot and slam. And then probably like 4 or 5 again, do the same thing, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. This will try to basically fix the issue of your dots falling off. Therefore, you don't get the chance to just continue slamming. Sometimes you'll probably just kill them before that even happens. I don't know. It's a little all over the place. The nice thing about this dot spec is most definitely that its abilities do damage, and it's not just dot damage that you're reliant on. There's a lot of damage just coming from your raw abilities, which means if you're ever in a situation where you have to duel or just do a single target damage, you've got it. You're pretty much not lacking, like ever. However, the loss of Impel auto crit, we do lose some damage compared to Rios Glory. However, Slam Spam is just unbeatable, so I'm happy to take that loss. Going into game here, there's not really anything I can show you special about Vengeance, but I want to show a certain talent. This talent here will just reduce the cooldown of Shatter. The reduction is before Alacrity is into place. So for example, I have 11-second cooldown on Shatter. But if I take this talent, I have an 9.2. So I mean that's kind of cool. If you take a little bit extra Alacrity, you could probably get it to like even lower to like a flat 9, but that's totally unnecessary. And as for building stacks before you even get into combat, is that each time you slam, shatter, hew, or impel, it'll build a stack for scream. At 2 stacks, you'll have 100% crit rate on your scream. It's definitely better to do it while it's glowing, and not when it's not, because then there's less damage. And when you have AoE scream, it does a lot of damage, so it's really good to try to make sure that you aren't using scream with no stacks. Another thing to also think about is that you want to be leaping. So part of what gives you damage reduction and CC immunity is leaping all the time. When you combat reset, you get a reset for your saber throw, your enrage, and your leap. So if I leap here and I wait until combat resets, I'll use my enrage just to show. When combat actually resets, I'll get my leap and enrage back. You can use this to your advantage, and especially if people are dying a lot, this means that you can start just using Blood Rage way more and way more aggressively, especially if you take the crit one. That's the main reason why I take the crit one sometimes. Overall helps you. Every time you leap, you get 20% DR, and you also get the CC immunity, which is now tied to this, which is nice. It's available for other specs too. Overall, it's the main reason I take Mad Dash. Usually, if you get into a situation, you can get CC'd and easily die if there's a lot of people on you. So, being able to Mad Dash out of the clump and then leaping back for the DR is very important. And for the most part, there's not really any crazy tricks that you can do for Vengeance. I would recommend maybe rebinding your caps lock to a different button on your keyboard. Like, for example, mine is the button next to enter. You could do it to whatever. This is assuming that you have like a Razer keyboard or a Corsair keyboard or another keyboard that has a program that allows you to rebind your keys. So for example, if I hit caps lock right now, it'll target nearest ally so that I can use intercede so I can get out of bad situations and or just intercede so I can leap back to the enemy target via tab and get my CC immunity and DR rolling again. This is definitely something really important to do and to take advantage of, because it's the main way that we can get DR. Otherwise, we're kind of squishy. And that's pretty much it. The class is super easy to play, super fun to play too sometimes. However, squishiness is definitely there. I'll show you a little clip, and that's pretty much it. There's not really anything else to this, and I'll let you see a little slam spam glory, and yeah, I'll call it there. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I have other guides that I'll post in the description, so if you're curious about defensives and other things, a lot of those I've already covered in a guide before. And if you want to see another guide, let me know. I'll be more than happy to try to do that for you.